Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Brandon Bies from ChichiChicken.com, here with, well, actually, today would be an FX Friday, wouldn't it? Huh. This is weird. I'm not used to making a video for Fridays. Usually Tuesdays. Or not at all. I don't know. Sometimes I slack, sometimes I don't. But anyway, so today is Friday, and I'm giving you a tutorial. But before I actually get into the actual tutorial itself, there's something that I kind of want to talk to you guys about. And let's bring my window over here. Okay, so there's this channel called the New Boston. I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not. Until recently, I'd never heard of this channel. And so apparently, the guy that owns this channel goes and hires people to make a crapload of tutorials on certain programs for him. So they've got, After Effects, Java, Dreamweaver, and they're trying to get us to do Photoshop tutorials for him. And he wanted us to make 200 of them. And he was going to pay us $4,000 for these tutorials. And that comes out to roughly, what was it, like $20 per video, something like that. And it's a lot of money. That's $4,000, and it's freaking insane that he would pay us so much money for, just Photoshop tutorials and all that jazz. And as you can see, though, what he does with the tutorials is he just kind of throws them up there and says, alright, this is number 1, this is number 2, or 45, 46, 47, just kind of puts them up and hopes people goes and views them. I don't know, something along those lines. And so, I don't know if I really want to do that. For a couple of reasons. I don't like the fact that he's just kind of throwing them up on his channel. I mean, I know he's paying us a lot of money, but I feel that, a whole crapload of tutorials deserve more, work than that. And also, I don't really know how much publicity we'd be getting from this. I mean, it's a lot of work to put into it. And, I want to get as much traffic to our site as possible because, heck, we make good stuff. I mean, I can say that much. It's not conceited when I say we make pretty good tutorials. And I'm pretty sure you guys can agree. And he said he'd put us up in this little box thing, but I don't really think people will pay much attention to that, so I don't even know if that's, worth it in that sense. So, having said all that, I've got this idea that I want you guys to kind of, give me an opinion on. And so, basically, what my idea is to, make a bunch of tutorials, but kind of have them more organized. If you've ever watched a DVD by lynda.com, you see, you know that they have a lot of tutorials in one package. They're organized into chapters, and as you go through the DVD and the chapters and such like that, you basically just get this progressive knowledge of the software. And that's kind of something that I want to do. I want to make 150 to 200 tutorials or something like that, organize them into chapters, and then upload them onto YouTube and have it kind of in a neat way to where at the end of each video they can click a link that takes them to the next part in the chapter, and then there's an index that they go to where it has all kinds of annotations for the different chapters, and they can just kind of click their way through all these chapters as if it were kind of like a book in a way. So I don't know, basically what I want to make is a school kind of thing. It could be an alternative to actually going to a class at school, or a teacher would actually have people come to this series and instead of reading their book and all that. Because let's face it, I know just as much, if not more, than most of the freaking college teachers out there that teach Photoshop. And not to mention, I'm pretty sure I teach better than most of them anyway. So, I don't know, let me know what you guys think about this whole idea of, saying screw you to the New Boston. I mean, I know he seems like a cool guy and all that, but I kind of want to do my own thing. And, I don't know, do you guys think that this would be popular enough to kind of make up for that money that we'd be missing out? I don't really know. So, let me know what you guys think of that idea of basically having, a training school kind of series on our channel. Alright. I'm talking too much. We're already 5 minutes into this freaking video, so let's just go right into the tutorial. So what we're going to be doing today is taking a picture of someone's eye. I'm using someone's brown eye just so I can prove that you can do this with a brown eye and not just, a blue or a green eye. And so what we're going to do is kind of add some adjustments, add some brightness and contrast and cover up the center of the eye. And then we're going to add in a Sharingan from Naruto, Naruto. Sounds weird saying that name on a freaking video. So anyway, we're going to be adding this little, I don't even know what to call it. It's called a Sharingan. It's basically like a shape thing. I don't know. Just we're putting that on the eye. We're going to add some enhanced shading on it to make it look like it's there a little bit better. Increase the sharpness of it, and then add a little vignette to increase the emphasis on the eye. And also, we're going to, kind of go over a little bit of coloring too. So basically, this is what we're going to do before, after. And just to throw this out there, the difference between my version of this and other versions is that other people make the Sharingan completely black. Like, let's change this to like overlay or something. I don't know. Nope, maybe not. Anyway, so this is basically what other people do. They make this thing entirely black, and it just doesn't look natural. So the look that I go for in this is to make it look like the Sharingan's on the eye and not like the replacement for the pupil. So it basically is just a design on your eyeball. So I don't know. That's basically what I'm going for. You guys can do whatever you want in the end, I suppose. But I don't know. That's just what I'm going to be teaching you how to do. Okay, so what you're going to want to do, obviously, is start off by opening up your picture in Photoshop. And another thing you're going to need is a picture. Let me get this back here. And what you're going to need is a picture of the Sharingan or the design that you want to use. This is just one that I kind of downloaded from Google. I'll throw the link up there for you. And same thing for this picture. Alright. So we're going to start off by duplicating this layer by hitting Control J or Command J, or you can just right click and say duplicate layer. I'm not going to remind you from now on in this tutorial, so be sure to remember that. So let's go ahead and rename this adjustments. And we're going to start off by just tweaking the levels a little bit, and to do that we'll bring up the levels with Control L or Command L if you're on a Mac. And we'll just bring in the black slider just a little bit. And same thing with the white slider. We'll just maybe right about there, I suppose. Maybe a little bit more black. Okay, so I've got this set to 10 on the blacks, 240 on the whites, and do a little before and after. You see just a little slight contrasting on that. And so the next thing we're going to do is cover up this this pupil right here. So the way we're going to do that is grab our elliptical marquee tool, zoom in on the eye, and click and drag from the center of the pupil while holding the Alt key, and just make an ellipse that kind of fits around the eye. And if you find that you miss a little bit, then hold the space bar, drag it off, and let go of space bar, and that lets you reposition it a little bit better. So make a ellipse around that pupil like so. And then once you got that, you can go ahead and fill that in by hitting Shift Backspace. And then this will bring up the fill dialog, and you're going to want to use content aware. I'm pretty sure that's pretty new in CS5. It might be in CS4. I don't particularly remember, but this is what you're going to want to use in order to get this to work. So go to content aware and hit OK. And you'll see that that'll use like bits of the eye to fill in that area. So we'll deselect that with Control D. And then if you look closely, you'll notice that you can kind of see the ring from the ellipse. And we don't want that. We want to fix that up a little bit. So we'll go over here to the healing brush tool. And if you've never used the healing brush tool, what you need to do is hold the Alt key or the Option key, click an area to sample it, and then that's basically going to use that as kind of like a cover up. So I sample this part of the area, I go up, and then just click and draw a little bit, and let go, and it uses that area to kind of replace where you brush. So just go around the eye like so, just sample, then paint in a little bit, sample, paint in a little bit, and basically you want to make it look like it's still going into the center. So just kind of do that around the entire eye, like so. It doesn't really need to be perfect or anything like that. It just has to be able to cover up that little bit in the middle. And the reason I say it doesn't have to be perfect is because when you zoom out, you don't really see a whole lot of that detail in that very, very middle. It actually kind of blends together rather nicely. Okay, so what we're going to do next is go to our adjustments panel over here. If you don't have that, you might want to go to Window Adjustments to bring that up. And go ahead and add a levels adjustment layer, and then put that levels adjustment layer into its own group by hitting Control G. And let's close that up, and we'll rename this to I. And in case I didn't mention that just a second ago, that would be Command G if you're on a Mac. And so what we'll do is go to our brush tool by hitting the letter B. And then go down here to this quick mask selection dealio and give that a click, or you can hit the letter Q. And with black as your foreground color, just zoom in and start painting in this like reddish mask dealio on the eye. And so this doesn't have to be, perfect in any way, shape, or form, because you can always go back and fix it up if you so choose. So we'll just kind of go along, start highlighting all of this eye on the area. And if you find that you mess up or you want to fix something up, you can always swap to white by hitting X and then just kind of fix that up. So you see I got a little bit of bleeding going on here, so I swapped to white, maybe size down my brush a little bit and get rid of that. Like so. Okay, so this is good enough for me. So what you're going to, I'm failing at talking today. What you're going to want to do is go back to the little icon down here and hold the Alt key or the Option key and then give that a click. And it doesn't look like it did what I wanted it to do. Well, anyway, so click that icon to get out of that mode there. And then with your eye group selected, click the click the mask icon. And then if you look really closely at my mask, it's kind of the opposite of what I wanted. It's got black on where I selected that eye. So I want to invert this by hitting Control I. And now we've got white in that area that I had selected with the quick mask option. And that's kind of what I want to happen, because now everything that's in this group will be masked to that section of the eye. So everything that is in this group will stay on the eye, won't go anywhere else. And since this levels is in this group, we can open up that adjustments layer and bring in the brightness, and that'll brighten up the eye for us. Except we don't want to do it over the top. We'll just kind of bring it in. Let's see, I'm at 104 right now. And we'll kind of bring in the darks a little bit and then move the midtones over to the right as well. Maybe not too much. Maybe just somewhere right around there. It's actually looking pretty good. So if you're using this image, right now I've got 3.85 104 on the blacks, midtones, and whites there. And if you look closely, there's actually a little bit of a spill kind of getting onto the white part of the eye. So to fix that, we'll just go to the mask for the eye, go back to our brush tool if we haven't already, and then use black to get rid of that little spill right there. Just kind of go along and fix this up. Alright. So, we're off to a good start. Now let's go ahead and add the Sharingan onto this eye. So the way we're going to do that is go to the Sharingan that we downloaded, and we're just going to keep this simple. We're going to go to our Magic Wand tool, and right now I have the tolerance set to 32, and then anti-alias and contiguous turned on. And then just kind of click on that black area, and that'll select all of it because it's all interconnected and all that. And then create a new layer and fill that in with black by hitting Alt Backspace if your foreground color is set to black. And then we'll deselect by hitting Control D, and then we'll turn off that layer. Oh, and by the way, on Macs, to fill in with your foreground, that would be Command Delete, I believe. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the concept behind this pretty simple. I'm just gonna grab my eraser and I'm gonna get rid of this line along the edge. So I'm just gonna do what I normally don't do, because I don't really like destructive, like the destructive works like this, but I don't know, it's not really that important. So when it comes to the edges right here, I'm gonna very carefully get rid of that, and then just kind of try and do my best to shape it to look like it kind of curves. So we'll just do something like that, and very carefully do it like that. Ta-da! And then we'll do the same over here. Start getting rid of this, like so. And then make sure we get rid of all that. Very nice. Maybe a little more. Not bad. And one last one. Okay, a little too much. See, that's why I don't like destructive stuff like this. If you mess up, you gotta go back. And you can't just swap to a different color tool or something like that and fix it up. So anyway, once you've got this fixed up, or you don't have to, it's kind of up to you. Grab your move tool and click and drag it up to your tab and bring it back on down. And obviously this is not the right size for this, and I almost forgot to mention, make sure that you have your levels selected before you drag and drop, so that way it stays in the group like so. And then we'll actually go ahead and rename this Sharingan like so. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and bring up the transform tool by hitting Control T or Command T if you're on a Mac. Click and drag one of these corners while holding Alt and Shift to size it up. And then the ultimate goal behind this is just to, just do whatever you feel looks right. The way I do it is I like to match up the edges of the Sharingan with the the round part of the eye. I don't even know how to explain that. So these two areas line up, and then this kind of trails off underneath the eyelid because, let's face it, the eye's a little bigger than that anyway. Just kind of covered up. And so once you've got that in a spot that you like, go ahead and commit those transformations. And then all you're going to do with this is take the blend mode of the Sharingan and change it to soft light. And then let's close those adjustments. Okay, so that was simple enough. The only thing is that it doesn't look like it's actually like on there. It's not convincing enough for me. So what we're going to do is go back to the adjustments layer, duplicate it, change the name of this to, let's just change it to shading. And then we're going to go and grab our burn tool right here and then change the exposure of that to about 25%, and make sure that protect tone is turned on, and make sure you're set to the shadows of that. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll zoom in and we'll size down the tool by hitting the left bracket key. And then we're just gonna click and drag and burn around the inner edge right here like so. And then click and drag and burn in on the edge of this inner part right here. And just kind of do that to every single edge of the Sharingan. Just kind of burn along the edges. And that will, in the end, just give it a little bit of depth that it didn't really have before. So we'll just continue along like so, burning along the edge. Keep it going. And no, this doesn't have to be perfect, so don't stress out too much, especially if you're doing this for the first time on your own. The very first time doing this, you don't have to worry about it too much. And so this is a little bit of a before and after we burn all those edges. And as you can see, it gives it a lot more depth. It kind of looks like it's kind of there on the eye. But we're going to go a step further, change the exposure of our burn tool to 15%. Then we'll go along and size it up and just start burning like just kind of random areas around the Sharingan. So maybe I'll just kind of burn along this area right here. Oop, don't do that again. And then let's size it up and just kind of do another once around the inner part right there. Just kind of maybe around here as well. And so that just made the entire thing a little bit darker. So now not only does it, blend a little bit better, it's a little bit darker. It kind of gives it more of that Sharingan feel, that dark and dreary and kind of creepy feeling. So just a note, the lighting I can tell is coming from over here in this direction, and the opposite side of the eye over here is looking kind of bright. So I'm going to go to the Sharingan layer and make a new layer above it. And let's rename this Shadow, and we'll set it to Soft Light, right there. And we'll go back to our brush tool by hitting the letter B, and we'll size it up with the right bracket key. And then just paint in just a little bit of black on the side of that, of the eye right there. And so a little before and after, you'll see that it just gives it a little bit of shading up here because the lighting's coming from this direction, and let's face it, it's kind of under the eye, so it really shouldn't be all that bright on that side of the eye. So that just makes it a little more realistic in my opinion. So now we're going to go to the actual group of called eye, and we're going to merge a layer above it. So to do that, just select the group and hit Control Alt Shift E. Again, that's Control Alt Shift E or Command Option Shift E if you're on a Mac. And then that'll merge everything into its own layer. And just rename this Sharpen. And what we're going to do with this Sharpen layer is go to Filter, Other, High Pass. And what you're going to want to do with this is go all the way down to 0.1 pixels and then just slowly inch your way up the radius until you start seeing those finer details coming from the eye. So right now I'm at about 2.6, and right here on this little preview window, I guess you could call it, you can kind of see all those finer details, and I can also just see them in this general picture over here. You can start seeing the picture, but you don't want to go overboard like way over here to where you actually start seeing like every single bit of the picture. So just get to the point where you can start seeing like all those fine details in the image, and then hit OK. And then change the blend mode of the sharpen layer to vivid light, and that'll just like give everything a nice crisp sharpen to it. So before, after, and it's a little too intense in my opinion, so I'll probably put down the opacity to 65%. Maybe 75%. Now I'll just keep it there at 65%. And so that just gives everything a little bit more of a crisp feeling, and it just makes it a little bit more intense. So that's my opinion on it. Alright, and so next what we want to do is add another layer, and we're going to call this, oops, didn't mean to double click it. There we go. We'll just call this Vin for vignettes. And what we're doing with this is we're adding a slight, very, very soft vignette to the edge of this because we want to add more emphasis to the eye itself. There's a lot here. There's the eye, and then you got, all this, skin, I guess. I don't know. I'm talking too much. I'll just show you what to do. So grab your brush tool by hitting the letter B, and we'll just size it up to a pretty good size. So right now I'm at, let's go with 1100. And we're going to change the blend mode of the Vin layer to Soft Light. It's kind of our friend in this tutorial, isn't it? Soft Light. Anyway, so just kind of click and drag along the edge. Next edge, next edge, next edge, like so. And then if you zoom in and then turn off and on that layer, you'll see that it is just a very slight and soft vignette along the edge. But it really does bring out the eye. It kind of makes people focus on the eye because everything else is really bright, and then just kind of softens it and says, hey, check this out. This thing's intense looking, So let's see. That's actually about all there is to say about this particular effect. Everything's turning out really, really nicely. The only thing we have left is to maybe add a little bit of color to it. So the way we're going to do that is go back to our levels layer and bring up our adjustments, and then we're going to go back by hitting this arrow, and then we're going to add a hue and saturation. And you can do whatever you want with this. You can start messing with this slider and choose whatever color you want, or you can colorize it and amp up the saturation and then change the color that way. And I guess in some cases that looks better, but I really like I personally like to not use that option, and we'll just kind of do it the old-fashioned way. Let's see, where's that red? Oh, right around there. It's looking pretty good for the red. The only problem with this, like, it keeps a lot of like the details and all that, except it looks like a little like has too much color in it. It has too much color that an eye would have. So let's bring down the saturation just a touch, and then we're actually going to go back and add a brightness and contrast to it. And so I'll bring down the contrast to maybe minus like 11. But if you look closely, it starts graying out some of these areas up here. So we'll bring down the brightness down to like minus like 12 or something like that. And so we'll do a little bit of a before and after, and you see that it kind of just brings it down just a little bit, just so where it's not quite so overly intense, but you also lose that little shine that we have going on here. So I'm going to go to my brush tool and size it down, and since each one of these adjustment layers has its own mask, you can actually go in, paint in black on that mask, and bring in that brightness back from the little reflection on the eye. So again, a little before, after, looks pretty good. And actually, you can even do this if you don't have the hue and saturation. So if you want to tone down that brightness in the eye just a little bit, then just do that little bit of brightness and contrast, lower the brightness and contrast, or I don't know. So anyway, that's actually all there is in this particular tutorial. Turned out pretty good in my opinion. It's actually pretty cool looking. I'll admit it's kind of creepy, but I don't know. I guess that's the effect that we're going for anyway. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of creepy if anyone has anything other than a regular eye, and if it's a red, that's even more creepy. So I don't know. In my opinion, job well done. I hope you guys learned some new tips and tricks and were able to get something good out of this. And just to throw this out there, this effect turns out differently for every single picture out there. So if your result doesn't end up quite like this, I completely understand. Don't freak out and think that you're horrible at Photoshop. I just came across this picture and it just happened to turn out awesome. I'll show you. Let's see, in my version of it. So this is the picture that I used, and in my opinion, it just doesn't turn out quite as well. This was the exact same method, but just a different picture. I guess it just didn't have enough quality and brightness in it like this did. So this just naturally turned out better because the picture quality was like, 2 thumbs up, So, like I said, don't worry about it if it doesn't turn out well just because of, the picture quality and stuff like that. But hopefully you guys got something good at it. If you like this tutorial, please, give it a thumbs up, like it, favorite it, share it with others and all that cool stuff. And if you use this effect, please give us some credit. I came up with this, all by my lonesome. And also, guys, please let me know what you think about that whole video training series dealio. So I don't know, just let me know about all that. And also, if you guys like our stuff, go check us out on Facebook and subscribe. Obviously, if you're new here, subscribe because that's always awesome in our opinion. We always love new subscribers and all that. And so I think I'm done for today, guys, so I'm going to chill for the rest of my Friday, and I will see you guys next week.